All right, it looks like we are live. Welcome back to Forced by Failure. It's been a while, but today we have some new exciting rules from the Scourge of Aqshy. I don't know how to pronounce it, but we're going to go through them. So it's the new rules that go with the GHB. So the 26-27 GHB set in the realm of Aqshy, and these are going to replace the Scourge of Iran rules that Helsmiths had access to previously. So today I'm going to just go over the rules, give you my first impressions of them, in depth. I did do a quick review of them this morning for setting up the broadcast, but we'll go a little bit more in depth, kind of compare and contrast to what we're losing from both Scourge of Iran or what we lose by taking the artifacts or the other war scrolls. And then I'll give you kind of my thoughts on what I'd include in the list and what I won't include in the list. All right, that being said, let's get into it. So you can see here, this is the faction rules, Helsmiths of Hashut, Scourge of Aqshy. They replace, if you don't know what it is, essentially it's extra rules that GW gives out. They replace the rules in your battle tome. So if you take an artifact of power from this rule set, you can't take an artifact of power from the other rule set. Not that you could take two in this faction, but if you had the option. And for example, when you see a war scroll, if you take the Demon Smith on Taurus war scroll here, you can't take a Demon Smith on Taurus war scroll from the battle. So let's get into the artifacts of power. It's always good to keep in mind that these artifacts of power will replace the access to the ones available in the battle tome. So what are the artifacts of power we have access in the battle tome? It's the Crucible of Spite, the Gauntlets of Punishment, which I've seen taken occasionally, but more importantly, it will replace the Scroll of Petrification, which I see taken a lot, which is that 2-up ward, and you can't take any actions. So let's take a look at it. So the first one, the Dark Gifts of Hashut, hero only. So this is once per battle, your hero phase. Gem of Utarek. Effect. If the unit's not a wizard, it has Wizard 2 until the start of your next turn. If this unit is a wizard, add 1 to the unit's power level. So you're probably going to get up to Wizard 2 or 3 with whoever this is on, and add D3 to casting rolls for this unit. So this is interesting. I mean, it's not bad. You can have an on-demand wizard. So you could give it to a War Despot. You could even give it to an Ashen Elder and do the wizard instead of the priest effect for that turn if you wanted. Or if you give it to a Demon Smith on Taurus or the Demon Smith on foot, you're increasing their power level for a turn. You're adding D3 to the casting rolls, which is pretty good unless you miscast. So it will definitely help you get off a Molten Metal cast, a Molten Metal spell, when you want it. So I think it's not bad. I think if this was in comparison to the other artifacts we have access to, then we would definitely take this one over maybe 2 of the ones in the battle tome. So pretty good. Next one, Cask of Belittlement. So with this one here, it is in any combat phase. So you can use this repeatedly, your turn, your enemy's turn, and you pick an enemy unit in combat with this unit to be the target. Okay, so we want stuff that wants to be in combat. So pretty much a War Despot or a Demon Smith on Taurus. In fact, roll the number of dice equal to your Fury level. And that's the new mechanic in the GHB. If this unit charges turn, add 1 to each roll. For each 3-up, inflict 1 mortal damage on the target. That's pretty good, especially with Place of Power being able to give you Fury level or increase your Fury level by 2 every start of every turn. So if you park in someone beside Place of Power, you're activating it, getting it off. I've played a couple games in the new GHB, and I've usually been between 3 and 5, so this is kind of like a free 3 to 5 dice and 3-ups or 2-ups if you charge inflicts mortal damage. So that's not bad at all. Again, I think this is probably in line with the ones in the battle tome, maybe even better than the the Gauntlets of Punishment, Crucible of Spite, but I don't think it's the best one out of here. And the next one, the deployment phase, Horn of the Bullfather, I love this one personally, and I think this is gonna make the Helsmiths play a little bit differently as they go through the new GHB. So this happens in the deployment phase. So stuff that happens in the deployment phase will happen in step 3 of the deployment phase. And this is declare. Pick a visible friendly Helsmiths Hashut unit to be the target. and then you can pick a visible friendly Hobgrot Vandals unit to be a second target. So you can take anything that's not essentially, you can take anything and then add a Hobgrots onto it. Effect. Remove each target from the battlefield and set them up again wholly within 7 inches of battlefield edge and more than 9 inches away from all enemy units. This is great. You can take a big brick of bulls and set them up before the battle begins, knowing that you might be going first because you know what the order priority is on the drops. And you can get a turn 1 alpha strike. You can take 2 units of Hobgrots and start doing objective controls. I know there's a tactic that allows you to essentially have 2 units close to each other. I think they're within 3 of each other and 6 of your friendly territory, so you can score a battle tactic right away. But the fact that you get to declare the unit each game differently, so it's not telling you, this unit has to go. It's on the hero looks at someone and says, you and those Hobgrots get out and start deploying, or start moving forward rather. It can be really, really good, especially since some matchups you can say, I want to send the bulls forward first. Give them 2 DP, so demonic power points. Give them the demonic power points with the CP right away. Get in Alpha Strike, or just start controlling objectives and keep your castle in the back. I love this one. I think this is going to be the most taken out of any of these artifacts of power. I think this is what Helsmiths needed, because it gives a little bit of boost in mobility and it gives a threat. Early turn 1, turn 2 threat to the army that makes your opponent react, because up until now, only the Hobgrot Vandals could get that pregame move in the deployment phase, and the opponent didn't really care too much about it. So you knew that there was going to be a Helsmith Castle in the back, and maybe turn 3, 4, potentially turn 2, the bulls are going to get into it. There's going to be a bit of shooting. But with this completely changes the dimension of the game. So I love this artifact, Horn of the Bullfather. It's going on something right away in my next game. And I don't think you even need to, you don't have to commit this, obviously, to something that's big. You don't have to commit it to the Demon Smith on Taurus. You can commit it to an Ashen Elder, a Demon Smith on foot, because it's just, in the deployment phase, the hero picks a friendly visible unit and some Hobgrots and says, away you go. Love this one. I think we'll see a lot of it. Next, we're going to go to Accursed Devices. So Accursed Devices is something that was introduced when we got our Scourge of Aqshy rules, I think in December, November of 2025. They go on the war machines, and you can only put 1 on a war machine. So the old ones were the Greed Pistons, so the 3d6 charge, the one where you could overdrive switch, give +1 to hit within 9 inches. They're pretty good, and they saw a lot of use. So let's see what we have now for our war machines. And remembering, war machines are both the Demon Smith on Taurus, I believe, and the guns, as well as the Bull Centaurs. So add 2 inches to this unit move characteristic. Great, love it. Honestly, any extra movement this army can take, you want to take it. It feels wasted, obviously. On, I mean, you could do it on one of the robot bulls, but I'd rather put that one on Demon Smith on Taurus and give him some better movement. Next one, Earthrack Stabilizers. Effect. It's passive. Add 1 to the rend characteristic of this unit's melee weapons if it has not charged in the same turn. Okay, this is the one you want to put on some of the robot bulls, right? Because like the Demon Smith on Taurus, I guess it's good that if you get charged, you get some extra rend. It's nice, but you don't want your Demon Smith in Taurus getting charged, or else it's probably going to either die or get a lot of health taken off it. So I think that one's going to go on the robot bulls there. So shooting phase. The next one, Bullfather Scorn, shooting phase. Okay, here we have interactions with the rage dice. And so just to go over the rage dice mechanic, if you haven't seen it yet in the GHB, if you're attacker, you get a fury level, right? And your fury level caps at 7, but you get dice equivalent to your fury level. So you start off the game, attacker gets 1 fury level, defender gets 2, and then on a place of power, on a 2-up, you can increase your fury level by 2, and then there's other effects in the game we've seen through other armies that can raise or lower fury level, and the fury level generates dice, and these dice by the GHB can either be used to do extra attacks at the end of the turn or to ignore wounds on a 3-up. So let's take a look. Effect. So it's in our shooting phase, so only our shooting phase. You can spend 1 range dice. If you do, apply the effect below. Okay. Otherwise, roll a dice. Okay, so we don't even have to spend the range dice. We can just do this on a 3-up. That's good. And if your opponent's fury level is lower than yours, they must increase the fury level by 1, which is a typical rule. Okay, so what's the actual effect? This unit's ranged weapons have crit 2 hits until the start of your next turn. Oh my goodness, this is good. If each of this unit's ranged weapons already have crit 2 hits, this unit's shooting attack score critical hits on unmodified hit rolls of 5 until the start of your next turn instead. This is awesome, and I think it's probably better than, well, it's better than Earthrack Stabilizers, and depending on your army build, it's better than Infernal Motivators. I think you love this. You're going to put it on either the demon or the not demon smith on Taurus. I just love it because we're gonna get to the war scroll. You're gonna put it on either Death Shrieker, the Tormentor, or let's take a look at the Dominator engine with immolation cannons. Yeah, we would love to see crit 2 hits on something that starts with base 5 attacks, and then add 2 attacks for each unit it shoots. So this one here is a good one too. Or on your Tormentor Bombard or Death Shrieker Rocket Battery. I don't run Dominator engines with immolation cannons, even though they're good. Like, I just don't own them. So I'm probably going to put it on the Death Shrieker, but I think you just can't go wrong by putting it on any of the good, either artillery or that immolation cannon Dominator engine. So overall, Accursed Devices, they're different this time than the ones in Scourge of Aqshy, but I think they're pretty good too. So I would say I'd rate Infernal Motivators as we can't go wrong, giving something 2 inches extra movement. Earthrack Stabilizers I probably won't take, and then I'll probably play around with Bullfather Scorn right away and try that out. Okay, so let's move on to the new War Scrolls. And 1 second. There we go. Let's move on to the new War Scrolls, and we're going to look first at the Demon Smith on Infernal Taurus. So previously, we'll take a look at the old War Scroll here quickly, and then we'll see in comparison what has changed, and a lot has changed. So the old Demon Smith, the one from the Battle Tome, 10-inch move, 15 health, 3-up save, Wizard 1, Control 5. Let's take a look. 10-inch move, 15 health, 3-up save, Control 5. Nothing different. And is it a Wizard 1? It is a Wizard 1. So the base stats are the exact same. And I believe the range and the melee weapons are the exact same. We'll take a quick look. 3, 4, 4, 1, D3. Yep. And 3, 6. Yep. 4, 3, 4, 4, 2. Yep. The exact same weapons profiles. So these two Demon Smiths, if you take them, they have the exact same base stat line and the exact same weapons profile. So what the difference is going to be is obviously in the rules. And the previous Demon Smith on Taurus helped your cavalry. So give your cavalry retreat and charge without taking mortal wounds. It has the typical 6-up ward, 5-up ward, and 4-up ward against spells and prayers and manifestations. If you have demonic power points, and then it could try and auto-slay unit end of the turn. Well, let's see what we got here. Okay, so the first one, if it's damaged, its horns and hooves go down to 4. Yep, it's the same. Okay, once per turn army, your hero phase. Okay, so only in our hero phase, but it's going to be doing something in the hero phase, so we assume it's magic. Effect. Add 1 to casting rolls and unbinding rolls for this unit until the start of your next turn. Okay, great. So it's already +1 to cast. Awesome. This helps us hit our molten metal spells, and it helps us hit the other spells. And in fact, let's take a quick look at our spells here. Get rid of that. Just to remind ourselves. Remember, Hateful Fractures, that's the half the move, is on a 6. So it brings this down to a 5. And with a Place of Power, if he's nearby, on a 4 on the dice. Ashen Smog, which is going to be actually pretty crucial, I think, in this GHB because we can give something obscuring if it's desolated. That brings it down to a 6, possibly a 5. And then Molten Metal, like I was talking about, brings it down to a 7, and potentially a 6 if you're near replace power. So this is great. Good start already. You can pick an objective or terrain feature that has a friendly desolation token, and then this unit is contesting. And if you do so, add 1 to this unit's power level for the rest of the battle, a permanent buff to the power level at the cost of 1 desolation token. That's not too bad. It gives you a bit more play with the economy of desolation tokens, and I know that sometimes there comes a point in games with Helsmiths where you just can't desolate anything further, or you know that you are about to be on the back foot and you're not going to be able to get to that next piece. So if you take something off, my read is remove the desolation token. Yeah, you can put it back on. So you can take it off, and then the next turn you can put it back on. Because remember, the desolation token economy generation for the points happens at the start of the turn. So you already have you've gotten this turn, you've done this, you've gotten your demonic power points already at the start of the turn. So you're trading off a desolation token for a power level. This is great because the Demon Smith on Taurus starts at power level 1, and it kind of hurt us to not have a power level 2 wizard in the army if we weren't taking Uruk Tar. So I think you're definitely going to do this, and he's going to be +1 to cast. So already, this guy has great rules, and he's a standalone support item, vice having to go with both centaurs or anointed sentinels. So I'm pretty happy with this so far. That's good ability. Next, demonic resilience. It's the same as his other ability. So if he gets demonic power points, he gets wards. No change there. And so the last rule here, change. Once per turn, army, any combat phase. So you no taking 2 Demon Smiths on Taurus and doing both times, only once. But any combat phase, so your hero, your turn, your enemy's turn. Okay, declare. Pick up to 3 enemy units in combat with this unit to be the target. Roll a dice for each target. Okay, so start off with this is great because it doesn't need us to charge. We could get charged if we don't want it to happen, but if we get charged, we can still do this rampage, and if we charge, we can do this rampage. Effect. Roll a dice for each target. If the roll is lower than your fury level for the rest of the turn, the target cannot use the Eruption of Fury ability. And when so Eruption of Fury is doing extra attacks at the end of the turn with the Fury dice. So you just basically turn off any Eruption of Fury, which is great, especially if you're into something big like a Shadow Queen or a Scarbrand, something that might not get you right away if you have all your wards up and you do an all-out defense, but they can get you at the end of the turn. So this is good. And when resolving the damage sequence for your target, your opponent cannot spend ranged dice as part of the Fight Through Pain ability. Also great as well. So they can't ignore wounds that you're giving to them through the fight through pain. So if you happen to charge into them and you get that damage 4, because remember we're damage 3 +1 charge. So if you get that damage 4 off, you're laughing because your opponent can't get the wound ignore. And I've seen it in a couple of my games where the opponent saved up 7 dice and tried to roll 3 ups, and they roll 3 or 4, and they save the unit at the end of the turn. Add 1 to the Ren characteristic of weapons used for attacks that target that enemy unit. Okay, this is great because now you have options too. So you're handing out for weapon attacks, weapons used for attacks that target the enemy unit. Yep. Oh, let me just think this through. Is this just for the Taurus? Is for this other stuff? Okay, who's the target? 3 enemy units to be the targets. Add 1 to the Ren characteristic used on attacks. Ooh, you're handing out Rend, I think, to the rest of I could be wrong on this, but you're handing out Rend to your friends. So if you bring in Bull Centaurs, Annoying Sentinels, which they already might get more Rend, as you see, you're actually handing out Rend. Oh, making your... there's a lot in the army that could increase the Rend. This is great. I love this. What was the point cost on this? Let's take a quick look. 1 second. We're going to go take a quick look at what the points are for this in comparison, because he might be a little teeny more expensive because he has great rules on him right now. I'll bring that up for you. But overall, I love it. Like, I definitely think I'm going to run this immediately. the ability to give yourself +1 to cast, the ability to increase your power level to be a power level 2 wizard, and then to get into combat and hand out extra Ren. So it's kind of that, let's say go turn, but when you're committing, you are committing, and you're basically turning off their ability to save things. So this is it's kind of like a fighty thing that can buff. It can buff your infantry as well. I mean, if you happen to get in with Infernal Cohorts, putting the Infernal Cohorts up a little bit of Rend isn't bad either. But you want it on the Bulls, obviously. Okay, so let's go for that. Downloads. I'll just pull up the battle profile here and I'll put it back up. Battle profiles. Here we go. And turn that back on. Let's find Helsmiths. Here we go. Okay. Yeah, he's definitely pointed harder. 350 points on comparison to 290. He's pointed higher than Uruktar, but honestly, I think he's better. He's better than he's at the right point level because of that modularity for his wizard level. Because you can turn off and add Rend. I think it's fair. Maybe it comes down in the future, but I think 350 is a fair starting point. So I definitely think you would take this unit in your army. So well done, GW. You gave us a Damon Smith on Infernal Taurus that can actually help our friends out in the battle. Love it. All right. And then the last war scroll they gave us. Anointed Sentinels. Okay. So these were rarely seen. Some people who are big brain and smarter than me were making them work because they used to be. Here. I'll show you here. Anointed Sentinels. So they used to be strike first if they countercharged. So you would have them near something like your cannons and countercharge in, strike first, and essentially guard something you want to do. And then they had charge +1 damage and anti-cavalry Ren 1. So they were okay. They were definitely not as good as the Bull Centaurs, and you had to really work to make them effective, and your opponent could play around it. So let's take a look at what GW gave us. Okay, so Anointed Sentinels, 4 health, 10 up move, 4 save, 1 control. I'm pretty sure it's the exact same. Yep. Let's see the weapon profile. Anti-cav +1 rend. Yeah, same. Charge +1 damage, the same. 3 attacks, 3s, 3s, 1, 2. Yeah, that's pretty much the same. Yep, exact same weapons profile, so it's all in the rules. Let's take a look at what we got here. Passive, Zealous Acolytes. Effect. Add 1 to the attacks characteristics of this unit's melee weapon, as well as contesting an objective you do not control. Awesome. Now they're offensive. So if they go on the attack and you send them forward to go take a point, they have +1 attack. This is great. And while they don't have crit mortals, you can give it more rend. And if you get the super prayer off, you can give crit mortals. What's the second effect? Add 10 to this unit's control score while it's contesting an objective you control. Okay, well, great as well. Because you can park them on an objective, towing in. That's something that is going to get charged on the objective, and you know your opponent's going to fight for control. So, you can just help defend a point they need to keep. So there's dual utility here. They can be defensive by helping with control score, or they can go on the offensive and add 1 to their attacks. Great stuff. I love it already. Okay, Demonic Resilience. Okay, so they used to have +1 to charge. Yeah, +1 to charge with power points, but instead they've changed it to the rest of the ward one that the infantry and the Demon Smiths on Taurus and Uruktar gets. So per PowerPoint, Ward 6, Ward 5, Ward 4. Pretty good. I mean, it'll definitely help keep you alive because they're very squishy. Because if you've played Bull Centaurs before, you understand that they go in and then they die to whatever attacks them back. These guys might not die immediately to whatever attacks them back. So, the case I could see here is that you go in, you take a point off someone because you're +1 to attack. You now control that objective. So now instead they're getting +10 to their control, and you have the demonic power points on them, so they're like sitting on a ward 5 and 10 control. So potentially in best case scenario, control 16, but most likely scenario, if 1 or 2 live, your control 11 or 12 on the objective. So your opponent really has to commit to getting, if you have a brick of anointed sentinels on the objective, your opponent really has to commit to taking the objective off. So I think this is a great change or an alternative war scroll. Let's take a quick look at their points. Let's see what's different here. See if they're more. I'd be interested to see if they're more than bull centaurs. Okay, 170 for 3 and 190. Oh, still cheaper than bull centaurs. I think the age of the bull centaur not coming to an end, but they now have a legitimate option to fight over, especially with that 20-point difference between the two. I don't mind taking the Sentinels and knowing that, yes, I might not have the immediate access to crit mortals and the guarantee that it's going to kill something right away. But I mean, if you pair them with the Demon Smith and build your Fury level up, you can get Ren 2. You can get it Ren 3 if you get the prayer off, right? It's been a while since I played, so let's take a look at that prayer. Just so I don't give bad information. Show me the prayer lore. Here we go. I remember it's +1 Ren. Yeah, +1 Ren, crit mortals, right? So you can still access the Ren and the crit mortals, so you can still take an Ashen Elder. I mean, there's a world in which you have an Ashen Elder, gives them +1 Ren, gives them crit mortals. They go in with the Demon Smith on Taurus scroll, and they're sitting on Ren 3 crit mortals as they go into attack. I love it. So I definitely think you want to build a list over that. So overall, I think we got great rules. There's a couple like they're okay in the artifacts, but the two war scroll changes, you're going to see them in lists. I think you're going to see them in lists right away. And I'm definitely going to trial them out. Maybe even today. I'll try a game out with these guys. But first of all, let's just go back and kind of do a quick recap and tell you what I take in my first list that I would add. So first list I'd build out of the artifacts, taking the Horn of the Bullfather. I'm going to throw some Hobgrats in there so they can get 2 targets. And I'm going to either take Centaurs, Anointed Sentinels, or if you want to be spicy and play the game and score points, take some Infernal Cohort, give them a 5-up board, park them on an objective that's near to the edge of the battlefield, because if you know you're going first, you go first, you move them over, they're on an objective. So Horn of the Bullfather's going in right away. Cursed Devices, Bullfather Scorn, definitely going in right away. I think I'm going to put it on a Death Streaker. And just so that, if you hit a 6, you get another hit on Death Streaker. It's great. And, I may actually play around with the +2 movement on the Demon Smith on Centaur. But right away, I think we're going to go into here for the Death Streaker. Although Earthrack Stabilizers is interesting because if you get your Rampage off and you get that, you're sitting on +2 rend on the Demon Smith on Taurus. So his hooves are rend 4, damage 3, 3s and 2s because you're going to all attack at that point. That's not bad. So it's interesting, but I think we're going to go for the crit 2 hits right away and try that. And then, as I just talked about, Demon Smith on Taurus is great. I'm going to take him. He's going to go in. I think he might even replace Uruk-Tar because he's so expensive. He's probably just going to replace Uruk-Tar in the list. And then we're going to take a brick of Annoying Sentinels for sure. I think I'm going to try him with 6 right away because I want to go in, take an objective, sit in the objective, give him a ward, say, come to me. We'll see who wins this fight, and we'll go from there. Yeah, 6 Anointed Sentinels right now. I don't even know if I go with Bull Centaurs, to be honest, but we'll give it a try. So overall, those are the new Scourge of Aqshy, if I say that right. Rules for Helsmiths of Hashut. If you're a Helsmiths of Hashut player, I think you've got a lot to be happy about, and I look forward to hearing how you're going to use these rules. So if you've got some opinions different than mine, get some new insights on some of these rules, if I got something wrong, let me know in the comments. Love to engage on Helsmiths rules, and thanks for watching. Have a good day.